Stocks or cryptos?
Crypto.
Would you ever go snowboarding with Jordan the Savage again?
Never again.
Oh,
No,
that's a
I
good
would go with more practice. Maybe someone who cared about me. For Jordan that's watching this.
Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, sick. So, dude, it's been a long time coming. Said I wanted you on here. You were the first guest that I wanted to bring on here. Logistically, couldn't make that happen.
No.
But I'm glad that you're on here, bro. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm very excited to talk to you. We have a lot of conversations, you and I, but I feel like this time around is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to get to know you a little bit on a deeper level, let the people kind of hear you out. And you're feeling a little savage, so tell me why everybody was cautioning me that you were going to go crazy today.
You got a couple messages? I don't know, man. I mean, I'm in that mood, you know? I'm in that mood. I'm ready to go, and, you know, no more BS you can't baby people. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of baby, tell me about baby Tim, bro. I want to hear how baby Tim was. How were you raised? What was your life like when you were a small little child?
This is where you insert like my life as a youngster video from TikTok, right? I mean, I think life was pretty, I mean, I would say I had a diverse upbringing. And what I mean by that is like the typical average American life where it's like you go to school, you play sports, and you do all that. But I got to do a lot, man. I got to, you know, go places, see places. I mean, are we talking about like I was a kid? Are we talking about high school? Are we talking about everything? Or
mainly just like your upbringing, like when you were little, like before high school.
Before high school. I mean, I was super blessed. I had a very diverse group of friends, so that allowed me to experience much more than just like seeing what you're used to, I guess, or seeing what you would just see if you were just with your family. So that was awesome. Did a lot of traveling for soccer growing up. I mean, I was working pretty young as well, family business and whatnot. But I mean, divorced family. So that always brings in a little extra wrench to the story. But I mean, I would say normal life. I mean, you got to hear from some of my friends, you know, so I would say that I just kind of let opportunity come, and I always just went with it.
What were your, like, you know, when you were little, people were like, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a firefighter. What did you want to be when you were little?
Probably soccer player.
Really?
Just probably pro. I mean, when I was young, I got offered to play pro in Ecuador. My mom would not. I needed permission. My dad was for it. My mom was against it. I actually got offered a modeling contract as well.
Modeling?
Yeah, when I was younger, like getting right into high school, my mom's, like, I don't know, someone in her family like ran a modeling agency, and my dad gave me the ultimatum of you could do that, or you're gonna quit soccer and do that, or you're gonna play soccer and you're not gonna do that. And I was like, fuck, soccer's more important than I don't care about taking photos and shit. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, I was disappointed I never went to Ecuador, but you know, I'm here today. I'm good.
That's good. So yeah, after high school, I've heard a couple stories. You know, I don't. Maybe I saw you. Maybe at a party one time. You know, mutually, I'm sure that we've had an interaction before. You know, became business partners. But there's a lot of people that I know that are from high school that have told me some things. You're kind of a hooligan, you know. But after high school, you know, so your story, you grew up in a traditional family and you had kind of a corporate job. You got your master's in like 5 years?
Yeah, so I went to school for accounting, mainly accounting. I'm sure I had some minor certificates in there or something. Then went to school for organizational leadership. And the only reason I went that route instead of doing a master's in accounting was because the master's in accounting is absolutely useless. You just need the credit hours to take the CPA exam. And then I was able to play soccer because I redshirted. My first year I came in with a broken foot, ended up tearing my hamstring when I got fresh again. And then my sophomore year, I broke my back. So my first 2 years were rough. So I had those extra years to play. So that's why I went and did the master's program.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you had a pretty good career set up for yourself. Why did you leave security? Because obviously now you run multiple businesses. You have businesses internationally.
Yeah.
A couple different countries, and they're very diverse. It's not just one industry. Why did you decide to leave security for uncertainty?
Number one was fulfillment. I mean, actually, I would say number two was fulfillment. Number one was faith. Like I just believed that whatever I made a decision and it was going to happen. Like I just had absolute faith that it was going to work.
How did you like?
Uh,
Because your family like traditionally are just kind of raising you to be one specific way, right? Kind of like mine.
mhm.
They don't teach you about faith, you know. They don't.
Yeah, so you're right. Like my family was kind of grooming me to get into that position to, work at the accounting firm, eventually take over. Whether that was in their plans or not, it looked like that was the plan. Um, and for me, I would say it was because of just honestly, it was because of my Christian faith. That's what it came down to. Was like I've seen so many amazing miracles happen in my life and around the world and other people's life that, I just had this like strong sense from God that like whatever you do is going to be Gucci. Like it doesn't matter what it is, you're good. Like don't worry about it, just go do it. And I think that if you have that kind of faith, and it doesn't even have to, it can be whatever you believe in, right? But if you have that faith and you already know it's done, it doesn't matter. Like the only time you're really distracted is when you're viewing your obstacles instead of viewing your goals.
Facts.
So at the end of the day, like if you're always focused on other stuff, like of course it's not going to happen. But if you're focused on what you want to accomplish, you're going to make it happen.
When did you like what was that life event or something that happened to you that you decided that you were going to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. Always knew. I mean, I grew up around the big three: real estate, business ownership, and investing. But I think the big moment, there was actually a moment and it was after a soccer game. I was sitting with one of my professors. He actually passed this year due to cancer, and I asked him. I said, this is where I'm at. I'm stuck, because at this point in time, this was right before too. I got offered like my dream job. Like I literally got offered my dream job in Costa Rica. I don't think I will ever have that opportunity ever again. Like
what was it? What was your dream?
So the Costa Rican government was building a new stadium, brand new stadium that all the professional teams were going to be playing in, and the international teams, so on and so forth. And CFCI, which was the organization I was doing my master's thesis with, Christ for the City International, was going to be running all of their sports ministry through that stadium. The government was going to help fund it. And they wanted me to be the sports director for, or the ministry, like the sports director for ministry outreach. So I was offered that position because of what I did with my master's thesis. And I ended up denying it to go all in with, with IM and with QC. And yeah, I mean, I remember sitting down on that soccer field, just asking my professor, just tons of questions, and him just breaking it down for me. And it was just, this is a dude that knows like 15 languages. Like 10 of the languages are dead languages. This is like a world-renowned author, one of like the most well-respected people in Old Testament, New Testament studies. Like the guy's a genius, extremely smart, extremely wise. And that conversation gave me so much clarity that I needed to do this, right? I needed to do this. And then this really became my ministry, my passion for people, my skill sets in business, align them together. There's no reason why I can't go off and go do other things down the road. I just knew I had to do this first.
Yeah.
I felt a calling to do this first, and I've never looked back. That's, even when shit was rough, you just gotta keep going.
What has been, so is it true in your experience that like your entrepreneurship, especially, the type of industry that we're in, your roller coaster, is it more ups or more downs?
It depends on your paradigm. It depends on your perspective. Right? Because you can say there are a lot of downs, right? But you can say those downs are what created the ups, right? So there's a very good book that I read when I first lost my whole entire business, and I thought I wasn't going to be doing this anymore. I was getting offers from other leaders in different companies, different industries. Like I felt like kind of being headhunted. It was kind of like the devil was trying to use everything against me to not continue what I was doing today. And the book, The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy, shifted my paradigm and my perspective on everything in regards to this up and down trial run of entrepreneurship. But I really don't think there is up and downs. Like there's rough times, there's good times, of course, but it's like, how are you viewing them? And then are you I'm in a downtime. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Now you realize that you're aware, now go out there and go fix it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think there's more than the others. Obviously one feels better than the other, but it's all perspective.
Sometimes the downs kind of feel good, because you're like, fuck, man, I'm so like, the only way I can go from here is up,
Yeah,
you're just like, you just get to the point of no return.
Yeah.
So other than leaving the cold here in Chicago, what's your biggest goal, and what are you most excited about moving to Dallas?
Well, no state tax. That's number one. That's a big one for me.
State income tax.
Yeah. I mean, Mike and I are in this process right now of getting some things handled. and money being moved and things like that. So I'm excited for that. But honestly, Dallas this is a 4-year journey for me. So I joined IM, which for those watching who are not a part of what Armando and I do on the side here, is a company that I've been with since October, November of 2016. And my first ever event was in Dallas, Texas, the first place I spoke. It's the first group of people I've ever met with. It's probably the number one location I've traveled to the most in this journey. And it's been a place that I've always felt called and wanted to go back to. So for me, I mean, it just feels like a second home. There's something special about Dallas. And so what I'm really excited about doing in Dallas is exactly what we did in Chicago. Going from just a few people to what we have now, over 500 people in the Midwest, and looking to do that as well out there. I think that's the number one thing I'm most excited about, is really just expanding QC where IM started, and really just taking over that market aggressively. Just way more aggressively than we did here, from an aspect of just like, we know what we have, we know what we're doing, and we can't be stopped. Yeah. And there's a lot of competition out there, which is good, and I like that. So that's probably what I'm most excited about, is just building a massive organization out there of just entrepreneur-minded people and seeing where it takes us. I know I'm going to do real estate out there. It looks really good too. Yeah. So I'm really looking to get into real estate in North Texas, like about an hour north, like the Irving area, or where they're really building everything right now, where the Cowboys are at. Yeah. That is a prime location for rental properties.
Are you going to become a Cowboys fan?
Hell no. I don't want to be disappointed just as bad as I get disappointed being here.
True. So that's what I was going to ask you. There's a lot of people in Dallas. There's like, in the industry, is saturation healthy? Like in any industry, not just necessarily in what we do.
I mean, I think people think there's saturation because that's all we look at all the time. But I mean, you can say Chicago has a big organization, but there's 3 million people in downtown, 30 million people in the Chicagoland area. I mean, like, it's not saturated.
Yeah. That makes sense.
How many people still don't know about crypto?
A lot of people know about it. They just don't know how to get into it.
Yeah. Most people don't know anything.
That's true. So what do you think is missing now? Speaking of people and just like not being aware of anything, do you think that's what people are missing the most nowadays? Like in a general public, what do you think people are missing? What's like one characteristic that...
It's not awareness, it's acceptance. I think people see what's going on. It's just easier to just stick into an old paradigm. Comfortability is the death of humanity.
Like you can't teach a old dog new tricks type mentality?
Not even necessarily that. It's just like, sometimes the truth hurts. That's why I don't do the whole, I don't think everyone should go down the rabbit hole. Just live ignorant. You're better off.
You think so?
I mean, for some people, yeah.
But then you're just living blind, I almost got in a fight with somebody yesterday about not wearing a mask at 7-Eleven. So, like,
Yeah, I mean, that's their fault. I can only do so much. I don't take responsibility for other people's, like, outcome or decision. I can just plant the seed. I got to have peace of outcome, what happens after that. I'm not trying to align myself with everybody.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, people want something that people like see something in like what's going on in the world, and then they don't know how to get it? Like, do you think that people are missing something other than what you just said, acceptance? Like, do you think people are soft?
Like, 1,000%. Yeah, duh. I mean, but like, why don't people go out there and get it? I think it's like just comfortability. It's fear. It's just like there's so many different things. Like, I look at even what I do. Like, I have a lot of friends who don't do this. They know it obviously works. Don't do it. But I mean, like, I think it's just most people, they say, oh, well, I want to enjoy my time, right? Like, oh, I'm already working 40 hours a week. I want to enjoy my time. I want to relax. I want to play the game. I want to have dinner, spend time with my family. But that's where sacrifice comes into play, and success and failure both require sacrifice. Successful people sacrifice in the beginning so they can have what others can never have in the end. People who I would say not are living a failure of a life, but have a lack of fulfillment, aren't willing to sacrifice in the beginning. Therefore, they have to sacrifice later on. They can't help pay for their kids' travel sports. They can't go on those vacations they want to go on. They have to, do the work on the weekends. They have to do these different things. So it's not that I compare people that you're successful, you're a failure. If you're happy, that's success to me. But you know, at the end of the day, people just aren't willing to make sacrifices. And I don't think we're programmed or prepared or taught how to do that at all.
Yeah.
You know, like most parents aren't teaching that. I think what your parents told you growing up, you know, what is a good job?
Yeah.
Like what is security? You know, it took someone random coming into your life for your brain to completely shift and be like, begin questioning everything.
Yeah.
But so many people get afraid of the answers to those questions that it becomes like a trauma. They just turn around, they refuse to answer it. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a good enough answer, but it's a lot of little things. You know?
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest sacrifice you've had to make?
Probably money, to be honest. Like, I mean, time was not something I was worried about sacrificing because, like the Jim Rohn quote, if you survive this industry 5 to 10 years, you'll be wealthier than your wildest dreams. But so I knew, like, even now, only being 4 years full time this May, I still have 6 years of dirty grind left. Like, I already know that in my mind. I'm already prepared for that. I was prepared for it day one. The reason why I say money is because I was going to be working 60, 70 hours a week anyways. So would I rather work 60, 70 hours a week in a suit in a cubicle where I don't enjoy being, or work 70, 80 hours a week doing something of fulfillment? Like, this could be considered work to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in my schedule or my planner, this is a activity that I need to do or that I get to do. So I think money, like I put a lot, dude, I took a massive pay cut when I went on with this, like massive, like stupid. Like I was like, not like, I don't know if I was ready for it. But I took that leap of faith. I still got the bracelet from when I actually quit working. It says leap of faith on it. Like I've never taken this off. Like you can tell, like it's wear and teared.
Yeah,
I've been wearing this for almost 4 years. It's never come off my body. The only time I take it off is when I'm boxing. That's it. Cause it kind of like hurts when, you know, but it's the only time. But money, like I had to go into some smart debt. Like I had to invest into people that didn't pay me back. I had to invest into hotels where the profit never turned over. I just had to do things out of faith, you know, and money was the sacrifice for me up front, where a lot of people who I went to school with that were also very academically successful were doing really, really well right away, you know? And I was like,
did it hurt?
It's going to be worth it. No, it didn't hurt because I knew where I was going, you know, I knew where I was going. So at no point in time did I ever have doubt. It was just like, it sucked, you know, it sucked not being able to live the lifestyle that I was so used to in a world where we talk about lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, and especially seeing the lifestyle that with people that you look up to, you're like, you want it badly, but you know it's not your time.
Yeah.
Right. So you just got to keep grinding till your time is ready, you know.
It's fulfillment though, once you have that liberty. Do you feel like you've kind of got that lifestyle now?
I would say so. I mean, I think life's pretty good. I think you can, I mean, there's always more.
Always.
I'll leave it at that.
Always
you know, like as my brain begins to open up, or my mind begins to open up, and I begin to see more, and things become like yesterday I was just sending Mike properties in Cancun.
Nice.
You know, I'm just like, hey, dude, like 50 grand, like let's put like, you know, let's get a property. You know, we have some plans for Chairman 25, what we're doing in Latin America with trade houses and things like that, and there's always a need for more money. Like money is not a bad thing. I love it. Like I love what you can do with money.
Yes.
It's not the money itself. It's like, man, the amount of impact, the amount of people you can help with money. I'm just obsessed with wanting more of it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I spend it too. You know, you've seen me go out and about, but I'm in a good place. I'll say that. I'm definitely happy, but I'm not satisfied.
Did you learn more about money with, you know, your traditional schooling? Like obviously you went to school for
No, not at all. I learned more in entrepreneurship for sure.
Yeah.
Even working at the firm, like I saw money. There was a difference. Like I saw how much money you can make. Like people making millions and millions and millions of dollars, like per quarter. Like we're doing their quarterly taxes.
Yeah.
It wasn't really to entrepreneurship where I saw it was possible for me. You know, like my grandfather is extremely wealthy, but he's one of the few in that office who are. Right. Whereas this was like everyone could do it. Mm-hmm. And that was a big determining factor for me too. Was like, am I going to just keep food on my plate, or am I going to help 1,000 other people fill up their plate too?
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely learned more about the spiritual side of money through entrepreneurship, which is, I think, the most important because it starts there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So when you speak in front of people, and kind of going back to what you said you live in kind of the darkness. You don't want people to go in the rabbit hole. But when you speak to people in front of a massive group of people, you always ask for permission to be transparent and to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
Why is it so comfortable for you to be so transparent with people? Because most people are afraid to say some of the stuff that you say to most people because they just don't want, I don't know, they just don't want the criticism or the hate or to think that you're cocky or whatever. Like, how are you so transparent? What made you so transparent?
I think it's a lack of caring on what people think, but it's also a caring about what people think. And what I mean by that is I'm not upset if people don't like me, right? I get upset when people lie to other people and are taking advantage of them. So I think that's worked that, for anyone who's seen me speak, it works really well for me because people can sense my energy and they know my demeanor isn't coming from a place of arrogance. It's coming from a place of, you can listen to me if you want. But when you leave here, I didn't lie to you.
Yeah.
When you leave here, this wasn't BS. You know that I came here to provide value. And like look at Grant Cardone, people like him, whether people like him or not, when you listen to him speak, he's not beating around the bush. Yeah. Successful people like that speak transparently. They get straight to the point. So I think we live in a day and age where so many people, like, lying is the new norm. Lying's always been the norm, I guess, but like our whole life's a freaking lie. So I might as well be the one person that tells them the truth. Yeah. So
what do you think has been the biggest truth that you found out that you didn't know growing up that you're just like, fuck?
Shoot, dude, I don't know. Like, maybe government. That's probably the number one thing.
That's a big one, man.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I would also say like Hollywood, that like people you look up to when you start learning who they really are. That was a rough one. I used to love Ellen. Can't stand Ellen. Little things like that. But I mean, little things like that. It's like I've become so desensitized
yeah.
to so much information that even sometimes I catch myself saying things in public and I'm like, I shouldn't be saying this. Yeah. Like normal people cannot hear this. Yeah. Like this is not actually a joke. I should not be joking about this. Yeah. So I catch myself doing that a lot. I don't know. I don't have one pinpoint on one thing where I found the truth on, but yeah, not one thing. But there's a lot of things.
Yeah. Let's talk about current events a little bit. So I know that you don't dabble too much into politics in an aspect where you're not, left or right or whatever. Yeah. All that bullshit is all fake. But yeah. What do you think of Mr. Biden? Not like as him as a person, but in the
It's actually funny because I watched Le Savage's interview, so I thought you were just gonna keep that to Le Savage's interview, or his guest appearance. Dude, I don't like him. Here's the reason why I don't get into politics. Why I won't publicly speak on it. Like privately, I have no problem having a conversation. Publicly, I won't, because 50% of the people are going to like your answer, 50% are going to hate it, and I'm not going to limit my business to 50% of people, because at the end of the day, like, you can shift the thought process on anyone. So for me, I think thus far has been absolute garbage, and we're in some trouble. I'll leave it at that. Like, we're in some trouble. Like, my personal opinion, I think the dude likes kids a little bit too much than the average person. We'll leave that one at that as well. Definitely think we have some foreign issues, the grid wise, that we'll be dealing with here in the next couple months. I think so many people, it's sad because, and I speak to some people who are, like very anti-Trump, and their only thing that they cared about was just getting him out of office. They didn't care who the person was. Yeah. And they're like, well, we don't care because Kamala's going to be the president anyways. Like, he's not even allowed. Like, why do you want one of these two people leading the most powerful country in the world? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you still believe, honest answer, do you still believe that we're the most powerful country in the world?
Yes and no. Like, from a biblical standpoint, I do. Mm-hmm.
Wait, I don't know. I don't get that.
That's a rabbit hole. That's a conversation for another day. There's a lot of like theories and things like that. But I mean, Russia and China are obviously big players, but I still think we are. I think we definitely are. We don't have leaders that want us to be, though.
Yeah.
So I'll say that.
That's a
And I think there's nothing wrong with wanting your country to win. Like, I had this conversation when I was in Mexico with one of Turco's friends, and I asked him. I said, "Do you want your community leaders to help your community, or go help a community in a state over, or a province over, however Mexico?" They said, "Well, I want them to help here." I said, "Well, what about your president? Like, do you want your president to do what's good for the country, so your family's taken care of, or do you want them to do what's good for other countries?" He said, "Well, I want them to do good for our country." I said, "So what's the difference between your country and America?" He goes, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." Right? So most people just don't think at all. They just listen, or they just hear. They watch TV. And they regurgitate information, and they don't have any conscious understanding, or they're not willing to critically think. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that like my opinion is the best. I'm open to being wrong. It's just no one's open to anything.
Yeah.
So it's this, that, and the other. It's like, it's silly, dude. That's why I just don't like getting into it, because it's just such a low vibration conversation. But the issue is, without having the conversation, we can't solve anything.
Can't educate.
So it's like, you got to have this conversation, but you also got to be able to pull yourself out of it too sometimes. Because I had to pull myself out the rabbit hole, because I was like, dude, I'm spending how many fucking hours a night looking at this shit? I'm not getting sleep. It's pissing me off. All I'm listening to are podcasts about this nonsense, and at the end of the day, I'm not going to let it affect my life anyways.
Yeah.
So it was like, I need to get out of this.
Yeah, dude, I remember like in June-ish, May, June-ish, like when Mike Miles was doing these like long Zoom calls till like 3, 4 in the morning, dude, that was scary. Like, you would stay up and you would think, and your brain would just go off in waves of all types of stuff, and you would just start looking at articles and researching this and researching that, and you'd be like, man, for a little bit, dude, I was just like, oh man, like, what the fuck? What if something crazy happens, And the next day, I fell asleep. The next day, I'm like, I gotta meditate. I gotta do something to get out of this like frequency, because it just goes so deep. I can really suck you up, and it's like pretty bad mentally, because you can't go socialize, talk to anybody about it. So you're stuck with your own thoughts and what everybody else is telling you. And
it's very hard to actually find people who are like, I have a very good friend of mine, who I typically conversate with him about these kind of topics, and he was in the military. He's Mexican as well. And he's like the most open-minded conversation person in the world. Like, he'll watch the news and be like, no, this is bullshit. And he'll listen to something I'm saying. He's like, I don't know how I feel about that. Right. But like with him, I'm like, at least we can have a freaking conversation. Whereas like I have other friends, and it's just like, you bring up one thing, and it's just like, the moment someone's voice starts to raise is when I'm out the conversation. Yeah. Like, I'm just like, this isn't going to go anywhere. You're already emotionally attached to this conversation, which being emotionally driven is not a bad thing. Like, think about goals. You need to be emotionally driven. Right. But it's like, people now, it's like, you go on a date, you start dating someone, the first question they're gonna ask you is not what's your name. They're gonna ask you, are you a liberal or a Republican? Yeah. And for me, I'm gonna be like, well, I don't even want to talk to you anyways now, because if you're gonna define me by that, like, it's not even worth my time. So I think we're getting to a very strange, like, tribalism. We're getting to a very, very scary place with that. Yeah.
So cryptocurrencies is a major topic now in the world, and I know you're invested in it. So I don't want to talk about cryptos, but I want to talk about what you think is going to happen to the dollar. Like, how do you think that the evolution in cryptocurrencies is going to affect the US dollar?
Yeah, so I mean, I just saw this. I'm glad you're not asking the specifics, because I tell people all the time, I don't study it. I just study the people who are smart, and I follow what they do, because leverage, Yeah. But I mean, Miami right now is becoming the first state, I think, to allow employees to be paid in Bitcoin, purchased in Bitcoin. Like they're really going all in. Like, Miami is going all in. I think it's Miami specifically all in with cryptocurrency. I don't know what the transition is going to look like, because it's one of those thoughts where it's like, how do you even transition from using the dollar now for so long to, like, what's going to happen? Everyone's just, their banks are going to be switched. Like, we don't know. I don't know. I've never thought that far. I just know it's something that's going to happen. And who knows if even crypto will be the answer.
Really?
Like, I don't know.
True. Things are always evolving.
So to me, what I told someone yesterday who asked me this conversation is, I said, the specifics aren't that important to me. What's important to me is, am I prepared? that to me is the most important thing. Like, am I prepared? And do I have the ability to pivot? That's all that matters.
So for an average person, how does somebody get prepared for that shift or that change?
Well, number one, I think personal development's huge. Like, you need to grow your awareness. You need to grow your business skill sets. Like that's number one, because who you are is what you're going to make, right? Who you're becoming is more important than anything else. And I don't even think it's a financial thing. I don't even think it's a hoarding thing. But I mean, I don't want to keep money in my bank account. The dollar really is useless.
Yeah.
So like today we were just talking earlier, like cryptos are down. I would much rather cryptos be down than money be in my bank account.
Yeah.
I'd rather be taking an L today than money in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Like your money in your bank account is not safe. I did that dog, what was it called? The lollipop story?
The bird dog.
The bird dog. I did the bird dog story actually yesterday. And it was really funny. People were blown, or 2 days ago. When was it? Friday night. And people were blown away by that story. And I said, it makes sense, doesn't it? So I think preparation is it's a lot of things. But for me, it's continuing to develop my mind and being aware of what's happening in the world. And then networking, having a proper network. And that's pretty much it. It's not even really saving a lot of money at all. Like, if there's a new currency system, there's most likely going to be some type of you get X amount kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, because they're not just going to say, okay, we're going to a moneyless society. We're going to a socialist society where everyone just helps each other. We're not going to be going that route. It's just not going to happen. Like, not going to happen. I don't know. So I would just say be prepared. Just continue awareness, continue growing your network until you're growing your mind. And when the time comes, you'll know what to do.
Yeah, facts. So the number one thing that I have learned from you is leverage.
Mm-hmm.
How to use something, someone, or actually, yeah, either something or someone for, let's see, a way to make your life easier. Where did you learn that?
Growing up, family. Like my uncle, for an example, runs the accounting firm, but he's not a CPA. He just does all the work and has one of our CPAs sign it. Like little things like that. Like I think people who drop the ego are much better at leverage, accepting that we have a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that there are people that are better than us. And that's okay. Because as long as you allow it to be okay, you can capitalize off it.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like you really don't do much. You just kind of delegate. Obviously you do a lot in the background,
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the major playing parts, you're just like moving things around, It's like a chess game. And that's awesome,
Yeah.
That's like, did you learn how to master that in school too? Because organizational leadership is basically like a CEO.
Yeah, so my degree, I guess you would call it more of like, it would be in regards to consulting.
Okay.
Like the objective, a lot of people that were coming out of our class were already in like high level business positions. So they were just, their workplace was paying for it. They wanted them to get extra education. But a lot of the times people were going to consulting, where we would go to firms and we would work with the C class, the boards, or this array of people, whatever. And we'd be coaching them on how to better treat their people, how to better organize, different things like that. So that was kind of what the degree was, but I didn't really learn anything about that in college. I learned more about that with sports. I remember there was a story that my coach once said about a box of crayons, and he was talking about how every crayon is important, but not every crayon is used every day. You may use red, white, and blue more often than you use yellow and orange. But the day you need that yellow and orange, they're prepared, they're there.
Yeah.
So what I really took from that story was the value that everyone has is important. Like the hand can't do what the feet does.
Yeah.
The knee can't do what the chest does. So every part in your body works together to create this outcome. It's the same thing with the team, is everyone has a role. Stick to your role and do your best job at it. And so, when I was coaching too, like I had to make decisions. Who was going to play? Who was the guy going to spend time with? Like, what formations, like subs, like the objective is just to get everyone to do their role, and the best people who are best in one position, that's their role, and you just let them do it.
Nice.
And then it makes the engine. It's like a boat. You got all these parts, a car, you got all these parts. They all got to work. When there's one part having an issue, the car has an issue.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with the boat. Same thing with the bike. Same thing with anything. A computer, cameras, this kind of stuff. A chair, if it was missing a screw, I would fall right down. So that's kind of where I learned about leverage, to be honest, with sports.
That's massive, bro. That's a nugget right there. That's good.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool. So I'm going to ask you one more question, then we're going to play a little game. I don't know if you saw Nancy's.
I saw the beginning of it. I never got to finish it. I was watching it when I was at Poppy Shampoo's house.
So how, you're impacting a lot of people. You work with like 3,000-4,000 people at this point worldwide, and that's not stopping anytime soon. So in the course of your life, being a man of faith and having an impact on so many people, how do you want to be remembered?
Dang. To be honest, I want to be remembered as someone that served, honestly. Like I think is the most important quality that any person can have, is their willingness to serve. I think it shows someone's true character when someone goes above and beyond for someone else. I mean, like, I don't really want to be remembered for like the business stuff. Like, the business stuff is just the vehicle. It's like how we make people feel is really what's important. I mean, I don't care about having names on buildings and things like that. I think that would be dope. Don't get me wrong. But I just want to be remembered as someone who went above and beyond for other people.
I love that.
And I'd be happy with that.
Satisfaction. All right, we're going to play a game. So I'm going to give you two choices, and you got to pick one.
Okay.
All right, so it's either one or the other. You can't say both. Well, I mean, you can't. There's really no rules, but the point is for you to pick one or the other. You ready?
Uh-huh.
And then the very last thing is a question. It's funny. I'm interested in the answer. So, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Right, as in what I would invest in or what I think people should invest in?
What you would invest in.
Ethereum.
Europe or Mexico?
Fuck, dude. Shoot, dude. I'll say this. I love Mexico. Like, I will move to Mexico. I don't know if I would move to Europe, but I would much rather. You get more out of visiting Europe. There's more to do.
It's a good answer. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Tequila or sake?
Dude, that's rough. Depends on the night. You know what? Sake's my favorite. Tequila is like my side chick right now.
Dallas or Miami?
They're both great. I mean, they're different. I mean, I'm moving to Dallas over Miami, so that'll be my answer.
Hotels or Airbnbs?
Am I alone or with a group of people?
With tops 3 people, 4 people.
Probably an Airbnb.
Alone?
Hotel.
Mountain or rooftop?
Mountain or rooftop? Can I look at the mountain from the rooftop?
Yeah.
Probably take the rooftop. A little bit safer.
Spirit or Frontier?
Shit, dude. Spirit's really not that bad. Like, I don't know why people hate on Spirit so much. They're really not that bad. It gets the job done, but I think Frontier seats are a little better.
Yeah, I would agree. Gucci or Louis?
Louis.
Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Rolls Royce or Bentley?
Oh, Bentley.
Bob Proctor or Jim Rohn?
Used to be Jim Rohn, more so Bob Proctor now.
Yeah, I would say the same. FaceTime or Zoom?
I mean, for business, I'd rather be on Zoom. It's more professional, but for just random stuff, FaceTime for sure.
Stocks or cryptos?
Crypto.
Would you ever go snowboarding with Jordan the Savage again?
Never again. No, I would go with more practice. Maybe someone who cared about me. For Jordan that's watching this.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for popping through, man. Good luck in Dallas. I hope to come out to your place one day. Maybe we could set up shop over there and nice little penthouse view.
I do have someone coming in who's going to be organizing my space to create a content room. So we should we'll see what we'll do. We may have some things set up.
Let's go. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Of course.